All right. Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, October 21st, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It is Logan from Lucky Trader here alongside Danny Miranda. Danny, thank you again for showing up. Lucky Trader Lounge episode 3. We did an impromptu show last night to chat about the Lucky Trader OpenSea extension. We're definitely going to talk about that a little bit more tonight. And hopefully have plenty of questions from those in the crowd as well to maybe help flesh out that extension or any of your thoughts and questions as it relates to NFTs or Lucky Trader or both or whatever the case may be. But here just to spend about an hour as we prepare people for Thursday night football and chat a little bit about NFTs. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. It's great to be here again for the third time. Always a pleasure when I get to spend an hour or more with you, my man.
Yeah, it's great, and it's good to chat about NFTs in an informal setting, right? Of course, it's at this point in time, I guess you could call it a job, right? But it's always pretty fun. Get the opportunity to chat about things. So yeah, I mean, I think we should kick right into it. I know we're gonna have people join in the stream here, but this will lead us right into it. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time. If people were hopping on the stream yesterday, we spent a lot of time talking about like notable collectors, and we talked about the Steph Curry Bored Ape. We took a look at that, but I don't know how much of a fan of like rom coms or anything you are. You're younger than I am, but like Reese Witherspoon changed her Twitter profile today to a woman of or sorry, geez, am I gonna totally
World of
botch this?
Woman, baby.
World of Woman, that's right. World of Woman,
Yes, sir.
WOW, NFT today. Reese Witherspoon, for those who don't know, like Legally Blonde, right? 2.9 million Twitter
Wow.
followers, I believe.
Wow.
I'm gonna pull it up here on the screen so everybody can take a look at what we're talking about. But this is just an interesting convergence of things that we had been chatting about anyway, because we spent a lot of time last night talking about Steph's Bored Ape. So as I pull this up on the stream, yeah, there we go. We have Reese's World of Woman NFT, of course. World of Woman being a pretty notable collection as it pertains to profile picture projects. Attention, it's been quietly, and that's like the best. Those are like the best projects, right? Like quietly grinding to new highs and like quietly being successful in the background and not needing the limelight or like a rush or frenzy of activity. Though it saw that today, not needing that though to really garner too much attention. Like this is something that has been in collectors' eyes for quite some time, regardless, without this stuff. So, one, I guess I should ask. I think on a previous space, I had called Reese Witherspoon old, maybe or older, and I got actually some feedback about that, which was a little odd. Um, but I guess I should get your take on this. I don't know. Any thoughts as it pertains to World of Women, as it pertains to Reese Witherspoon and her brand and whatever. What do you think
I,
about this?
I think it's an incredible sign for the NFT ecosystem as a whole. And you got to imagine that there's 2 million people, or maybe 2.5 million people, who are saying to themselves, what is that? What does that mean? What's going on? Why is that her profile picture? And that's exciting because that's new people come to the space. That's new people curious. And I'm curious how that affected price movement. We talked about Steph, and now we get a live look at what actually happens when a celebrity of Reese Witherspoon's stature changes her picture to a World of Women. So what happened there with the in the latest? It happened 24 hours ago, right? Or sometime
I'm
last
not
night or
exact.
today?
I don't know exactly when she made the purchase. That is something like I know we were talking about that exact thing last night about being able to check in on the details right as Steph purchased. And
Yeah.
I do want to say, like, I think that those types of activities are things that we want to be able to capture and identify as significant moments, and kind of take a look at the price and the movement of that price when things like that happen. So we don't yet have that. And I don't have that pulled up for me. What I am going to bring back in is the Lucky Trader project rankings. I tweeted this out a little bit earlier today. Of course, this is your sort of real time look into the market and the NFT ecosystem. One of the things we've added here in the last few days is the ability to sort based on percent change, which is a huge, huge feature add here. So, that's giving you now a glimpse into what was the volume, but also what was this volume increase or decrease over the course of the last day. So what we saw from World of Women in today over the course of the last 24 hours, right? And there's going to be some data that lags in here a little bit as more of the news gets around that Reese Witherspoon has joined the party. But, we saw a massive, massive boost in volume. And this was, like I looked at this earlier today, and I'm going to, there's other projects, of course, that have probably taken over since I've changed timeframes here. I can just search for World of Women. That's awesome. But I took a look some of these projects. Okay, so actually over the course of the last 6 hours from the previous 6 hours, right, you can see that volume has started to taper a little bit as the initial rush of Reese Witherspoon adding a World of Women has maybe died. We don't want to say died off, right, but calmed a little. But yeah, this is a huge addition now, just allowing you to check and see what that delta is over the course of whatever time frame you're most curious about. So you can take a look at by percent or by amount, which is what we had previously. I really like to use the percent change. It's just a great way to indicate what's moving, what's not. What is the effect on the market as a whole or a particular project. So Reese, if you're out there listening, which would be great, right? She has jumped in kind of like full swing, right? No hesitation. I think she tweeted like a month or so ago. We were talking about how quickly she got in a month or so ago about, hey, I just bought my first Ethereum or Ether, right? And then like not too long after that, she had bought some NFT, and now she's World of Women and prominently displayed. That we talked about this a lot as well. Like a brand like Reese Witherspoon is very powerful. You're talking about your brand and what it may take to get you to pull the trigger. Reese, man, I think she's like probably an incredibly confident woman, right? Like just doesn't give a shit what anybody else is going to think, and plops up her World of Women, doesn't need to be recognized for anything otherwise. But she just went for it. That's awesome. I don't own any World of Women, but I know Gary V. You're a Gary V fan and closer to his actions than I may be. He is also a World of Women holder and promoter of sorts, right? Not financial advice. Of course, nothing here is, but is that accurate? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I remember when he discovered the project, he's like mint, 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 and like that was making some people upset because he was saying to mint the project. I think he believes this will be the first.
So I'm not exactly sure what this trait is. We tried to do this last night too. I should have been, I guess, a little bit prepared. Is it Cool Blue? That's my guess, right? Okay, so this is Reese's. That's her. No, some of these are sort of similar, but like this is the trait, right? So we take a look. We were trying to do this last night on the stream as well. And I was ill prepared for that particular conversation because we didn't necessarily anticipate chatting about it. But let me pull it up here. If you head to the, not hairstyle, but if you head to the transactions page for any collection on Lucky Trader, you, of course, can then filter down to particular transactions based on the attributes of your choice. So if I head into Cool Blue, which is the skin tone listed for that trait that Reese bought, we do see some movement today. These are all 1021 buys. Today's 1021. So the most recent being 541 a few hours ago here, or actually, like an hour and a half ago. And then a whole host of others, right? So like
we,
five or
we could
six.
see when she bought hers, right?
Yeah, we could. Is this
it's
hers?
That one, right?
Is this it? 2655. Let me go back here and check. That's it. We're not going to dox Reese Witherspoon here on the stream. So I'm not going to, I'm going to sort of pull open her. This is it, right? Definitely. Yeah, this is it. Reese Witherspoon bought this 2.95 ETH 7 days ago. So She waited a bit, right? She didn't want to cause a stir and a frenzy, which she did today. But this is like, we're casually pumping, all bags here, and including Reese Witherspoon's. She does not need us to do it for her. But this is a really interesting entire thing. This is a completely different conversation, and maybe not that interesting to other people. But we chatted a bit about this last night because we spoke quite a bit about Steph and his ape, and how cool that was. That like Steph Curry joined the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? Things like that. I think, the transparency of the blockchain is super, super interesting. And sometimes sort of like, I don't want to say the word dangerous because I think more data isn't like bad really. But in that instance, right, like now everybody knows which wallet is Reese Witherspoon's and all her actions and all those things, which is, yeah, there's pros and cons to all of that. Again, not looking to dox Reese Witherspoon in any way here on this show or her wallets. But I think that's really awesome. The transparency and the ability to see that. And yeah, Reese Witherspoon is in the world of women. Again, you can check out the project rankings, the Asset Explorer at luckytrader.com. It is now, of course, live. The beta version is live for everyone to participate with. You know what else we could do, though, Danny? As I get my screen set back up here, we're on episode 3. I'm getting better at the producing or the broadcasting. I don't know what you want to call it. Okay, right? Reasonable.
You were great to begin with. So
yeah, nobody has said anything just yet about how good or bad it may be. So I think if I haven't heard too much about how horrible it is, then we're doing okay. But let me bring the screen back in. And we'll also chat a little bit about something that we just launched officially to the public yesterday, which is the Lucky Trader OpenSea Power Tool extension. It's going to allow you to see rarities directly on your page, mass bid, mass list NFTs. So if I just scroll through the world of women NFT collection on OpenSea, now you're seeing all those rarities automatically reflected in the bottom left corner. You can, of course, use the filters much like we would on the site. Let me try to find, we'll get a sense of how rare the cool blue are. Okay, so this looks like, I guess, depending on the other attributes, pretty wide range, but probably middling. So not like mega rare. This leads me to another thing we talked about last night. You mentioned to me last night, you posed the question about if Kylie Jenner buys an NFT with a particular attribute, does that attribute become more desirable? I think we were talking about rarity, but I'm actually, maybe rarity isn't the best way to really frame it, but does this attribute, this cool blue, become more desirable now because Reese Witherspoon owns it?
If I was a huge Reese Witherspoon fan, it would be more
You're
desirable
not?
to me. I can't say I'm familiar with her work, but I'm not the biggest fan in the sense of I don't know her that well. Not that I'm against Reese Witherspoon, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Danny, we're swinging pretty hard, and you're obviously an excellent networker. Lucky Trader podcast. Please go ahead and download that on all of your.
Can we try to get her on?
Yes,
is that what you're gonna say?
We should,
yeah,
right? We should.
I'll try.
We should try to get Reese Witherspoon on the podcast. It would be great for everyone, right? Great for Reese to chat about her bags, hopefully. Both financially and whatever. I think it would be fantastic, and it would be a huge get for the Lucky Trader podcast and all these people that are joining the stream right now and learning about NFTs and actively participating and maybe buying NFTs as a result of this, right? We might have folks from the 2.9 million of followers on Reese Witherspoon's feed that somehow find their way to this and start using Lucky Trader because of Reese Witherspoon. So maybe you should start thanking her profusely. Yeah, we'll need to try to. We're gonna try. We should definitely try to get her on the podcast.
I definitely will try. And you raised up an interesting point before, which was you said that you didn't want to dox her, or you didn't want to go into her wallet, like as if it wasn't public. And I just thought that was such a fascinating thing. It's like anyone can know, anyone could find it, but there was a sense from you that was like, that's private. That's hers. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to click that. Yeah. I'm not going to put that out, which is an interesting idea because we're all just wrapping our heads around this brand new way of interacting with people's money, people's identity, and just a fascinating thing. So it was cool to see that live and see how you interacted with it.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, I don't need to, of course, people are going to do it, right? People saw that. People have already done it, I'm sure, and done a deep dive analysis. We're trying to curate a really strong brand at Lucky Trader. We want to provide stuff for all potential participants in the NFT ecosystem. And so that means beginners through experienced people. We're not going to probably do a detailed analysis of Reese Witherspoon's NFT holdings.
But
I
I'm
don't
so
know how much.
curious now. Like, I'm so curious. What else is she holding?
Well, I would
Not
guess.
that it's financial advice,
I
but
would guess, and actually, let's chat a little bit about some security practice. But I would guess that Reese has taken some strong advice from others and is likely utilizing a hardware wallet, right? Like a Ledger or a Trezor. I would guess that she has multiple wallets where not all of her assets are
true.
housed. So just some general security practice, right? Taking advantage of those stronger, more secure outlets. One being, the hardware wallet, of course, which is going to make sure that you have that kind of present to be able to sign transactions and complete transactions. It's just a definite no-brainer should you be participating with amounts of money that you are not comfortable with kind of having out in the wind at all. Because as we've seen, like another thing that we can actually chat a little bit about this week in particular has been a little scary in terms of security. We saw both the creature toads, which actually dropped today, and I think dropped successfully. I minted one as both a creature and toad owner. Creature toads, we can get into more about that in a bit because I'd like to, as well as the NBA Top Shot discords, both were hacked earlier this week, unfortunately. So yeah, a little scary in terms of security. I think my advice, like on your podcast earlier, episode 1, of course, go listen to the episodes with all the other guests as well, was just to try to slow down. But like, there's some general security practice as well. It is a area that is moving so fast, the space as a whole. And when that happens and there is a little less oversight, which is good, right? It allows us to move at that speed. But when there is a little less oversight, it does present financial opportunity for people to take advantage of those who are not as educated. And so some of the things, let me head back over to luckytrader.com. Some of those things like you could be on the lookout for if you head over to the articles tab on luckytrader.com. We've got just a little, and this will be a dynamic article, but something that I put together that just has like some of the most notable scams that are, not easy ones, but easier to maybe identify because they're so like they seem obvious to you after you've sat and sort of thought about it. They're not obvious perhaps in the moment, but just some things that I highly encourage everybody just to head over and like equip themselves with a little bit of that knowledge so that they are feeling better and feeling assured, more assured that whatever they're doing on the web is Web3, that is a little more safe. Actually, one last thing I want to add about that. I'm working right now. Lucky Trader has the pleasure of having a really strong Solidity dev on the team. Hopefully we'll get him on one of these lounges. I've already pitched the idea to him, and I think he's comfortable in coming on. But we're working on a piece right now, which is sort of walk me through what happens when I'm minting or interacting with a contract so that I know, like we're not going to ask you to like be able to learn how to read Solidity or anything, which is the coding language, right? The programming language of the Ethereum blockchain. But it's going to give you some insight as to what is actually like, what is this thing that I'm doing when I hit connect to my wallet, right? Which is a first step. What exactly is happening? We got a note in here from Dan. Dan, thanks for showing up and participating again tonight. Appreciate it. I'm still hesitant to give out my wallet address. It's a weird feeling. Yeah, it is. It's a little bit of a scary feeling as well, right? So we wrote a little bit about this in an NFT glossary, which we'll have published on the site a little bit later as well. Danny helped out on that tremendously. And it is weird to learn about things like private keys and public keys, right? Which make up the cryptography part of cryptocurrencies and all adjacent avenues like like NFTs, right? But essentially your wallet address, should it be the public key, right? Which is accessible, like if you're using MetaMask or Coinbase wallet or whatever, that public key is totally fine to give to others. Again, totally fine. That's how you would receive Ethereum or ERC20 or NFT tokens, right? That's totally fine so long as you can verify that you're dealing with the public key / wallet address. They're like the exact same thing, right? That's totally fine to give out. It is a little scary, of course. It's scary not even to give it out, but to like paste it to yourself. right? From Danny, I mean, you've dealt with this, right? Like, I have fat fingers, man. You know what I mean? Like, pasting from one device to another or something like that. And actually, earlier this year, one of my close friends is kind of like, he came up with this double paste rule that I always adhere to now. So, like, I will always paste the address twice so that I can double check that I didn't catch a character or I didn't catch a space weirdly, right?
That's really smart.
Yeah, it's also the other thing that gets me excited about this, and I love telling new people about this, is the the ability to utilize ENS being the Ethereum name service. You people might have seen like in Twitter profiles at present time, right? Like a whole host of people that have this kind of my name is .eth, right? .eth or whatever, right? The Ethereum name service is essentially, right? Like this is like essentially an NFT that's being created that kind of attaches to your public key or your wallet address, right? Like you sort of can set the controller and the resolver. These are words you don't necessarily need to know too much about, right? But you can register these things for an address so that when you want to send, all you're typing in is logi.eth or which is one that I own, or like
That would be a great
logan.eth.
piece of content.
Yeah,
How
it's
to
great.
create your ENS.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. Thanks for the heads up, Danny. And the other part that's even better about that is like MetaMask, for example, at present time, and I think Rainbow, same thing. Probably Coinbase Wallet, though I'm not entirely sure. I don't use it, unfortunately. They recognize them. So if you go into your MetaMask and you type in a valid.eth, an ENS domain, it's going to automatically reconcile that record with the underlying registrant not registrant, but I guess controller of that address. So if you type in loganhitchcock.eth, kind of my public address will pop up automatically for you. And it's just, it's a lot safer. I think in large part, like that is there may be even be improvements that I can't even fathom right now in the way that we send and interact with cryptocurrencies. I think they'll start to be a whole lot more like Venmo or PayPal would be, right, for most folks. But the ENS is like that's a step in that direction, right? Is like how simply you're just typing in like your friend's name.eth, and it just takes a whole bunch of concern out because I know lots of people that have sent those transactions, right? And then it's gone. Blockchains are immutable. It's sort of part of it, right? So it's a little unfortunate, but yeah, you guys could head to it's ens.domains. I've already gotten into the app part, but really you can search for anything in here, right? You could search for whatever address you want. I know like people kind of see this as sort of like domain hunting and squatting and then potentially selling is right as well. So like when I first learned about this thing, I was taking a look at like what is like Taco Bell.eth look like, right? And so you can search for these. You can learn like which address holds it, when does it expire, all these types of things, right? So like I could set a reminder in case this person holding Taco Bell.eth. Taco Bell launched NFTs earlier this year on Rarible, in case you didn't know that.
Wow.
So they're pretty forward thinking. Web3 participants active. So I don't know if Taco Bell owns this or not. My guess is probably not. But like they might hit this remind me and try to pick it up. Danny, do you own a .eth? Do you own Danny Miranda.eth?
I do.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, and one thing on that note is, whenever I type that anywhere, I always make sure that the final 3 digits are the same as my actual wallet address, so that if I accidentally type Danny Miranda with one N, it still come like I make sure. I think that's a good best practice.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is, I believe at present time, like MetaMask will give you the kind of the green, like check mark that
Thumbs
says
up.
this is a valid address, right?
Right.
I think. But you could force it regardless. I'm pretty sure if you wanted to. We got another question in here from Jonathan. Jonathan, thanks for showing up. Any plans for Lucky Trader community element, which I suppose would be a Discord? Yes, at minimum, there will be a Discord. We're actually like actively hiring moderators right now. We are hopeful to be set up here shortly so that all of you folks who would wish to chat with other Lucky Trader users or the Lucky Trader team would have access and availability to do that. So it's coming soon. I don't know the exact launch or reveal of it. We want to make sure that we are well equipped, with all the necessary and prerequisite security practices, and have people and plans in place to be able to, engage appropriately and keep things moving in a good way. So yeah, great question. Definitely something we're thinking about. And that's kind of what these events are about too, right? We're trying to cultivate and build a community here. So appreciate everyone showing up. And we're going to be doing these every Thursday night, likely at 7 p.m. Eastern, kind of leading people into Thursday night football. Some nights will go longer because Thursday night football is a bore. I don't know the last time I watched a full football game, to be honest.
Me neither.
NFTs have changed my life completely in so many ways, but I'm a huge sports guy. Like I don't know the last time I watched an entire sporting event. It's very, very strange. Tonight is Denver without Teddy Bridgewater. I think without Teddy Bridgewater. I don't even know. And the Browns without Baker Mayfield. Should be a real thrilling game. So yeah, maybe we'll stay on a little bit longer if people have questions. I have nothing really to run to, so I'm happy to chat about NFTs. Definitely community elements coming. If you guys have suggestions as well for things you want to see or get from Lucky Trader, pass them. We are in beta. We have that kind of prominently featured on the site. This isn't time to make those Top Shot beta jokes. Now being a product in beta, those hurt a little more, right, than they did previously, because I made those jokes as well. So yeah, but we love to take the feedback and your questions and feature requests. Hopeful to definitely build a place that is providing value to folks in so many different ways, because if you guys are getting value out of it, then it's beneficial for us. It's beneficial for other participants, right? And just win-win for everyone. So certainly pass your feedback and your commentary and questions at any point in time. Danny, I was asking about. I was saying that I haven't watched a sporting event in a really, really long time. Why don't you give me a little spiel about how your day-to-day life, aside from I know of course you work for Lucky Trader now, right? Like that's a cool, awesome thing. We're super awesome to happy to have you. But what's changed about your day now as a result of NFTs?
Dude, I go to sleep so late. Like sometimes I go to sleep 2, 3 in the morning because I'm just on OpenSea. I'm just on Twitter. I just get stuck in these loops that are crazy. And I'm like, yo, it is 3 in the morning. What is wrong with me? But it is addicting, and just like my energy is just so drawn toward it. I had very little trouble just putting away the laptop at 11 o'clock at night in previous months and previous times. But starting in August, really, I just got so into it. So I'm grateful for Lucky Trader for providing for me the full-time capacity to really devote all my time and attention to this. So it's changed my life tremendously because now I can, oh baby, we got Creature Toads on the screen. I love it.
So
I want to talk about Creature Toads as well, because for someone like me who missed out on creatures and toads, this was the perfect way for me to come in and say, I would like some exposure to this, as you would say. I'd like some exposure to this project and both of those projects, and believing that both will rise. So this is pretty cool. What are your thoughts, Logie?
Yeah, so this is an interesting project. Creature Toads makes note of this on their site. Actually, if I scroll down just a little bit, they make note of this on their site that they are the first crossover project. I can't independently verify that, but I believe it to be true based on my experience in the space. So first independent, right? This is Scarano, who is the artist behind the project, has built this with 2 completely different independent community works and collections. Creature World by Danny Cole, which is a fantastic project, really interesting, unique project doing really cool things. And Cryptodes by Gremplin, and sort of meshed them together. All the art, as noted here, made from scratch to ensure a perfect stylistic marriage. They're cool looking, a little interesting, right? Of course, not everybody's flavor. This is just an inkling of what would come. Reveal is on Sunday. I think it's cool. This is part we actually talked about this on our episode, the first episode of the Lucky Trader podcast, right? Which was we talked about collabs and that being sort of some of the stuff that I was like most interested in kind of watching and seeing what happens here. Because there are some tribalistic concerns, right? Where I'm not going to call out anybody or any project, right? But some projects are like, yeah, this project only, that project sucks, right? And like, whatever. There are definitely some concerns about that in crypto at large and in NFTs. And so when you start to see things like this, it's interesting. And Creature Toads talks about this, but basically, like, they want to show and promote the good of what community building and the ecosystem building can do. And this is kind of the first iteration of that, the first collectible that really fits that mold. So it is interesting to me. We've seen all the derivative projects for cryptodes in particular as well. You had crypto flies, you had chodes, which are the little like pixelated, like, man, I don't know what they're called, but like in grade school, you'd make those little keychains that are like bead type things. I don't know what they're called, but they sort of remind me of those. And a whole host of other derivatives that I'm going to completely miss. Zombie toads, right? Which is like a DAO with staking, and like there's a bunch of other things. Yeah, this is the first example of like two different projects merging together. So I did, full disclaimer, did mint mine. I'm a creature holder and a cryptodes holder. I did mint one today. It was one per wallet. I minted one. Reveal's not until Sunday. I think it's interesting. I don't know how value is going to hold up with derivative projects. Really have no clue. My guess, and the way that I've been playing things, has been, like, I'm taking profits on derivatives, which some people could shame me for, I guess. But I'm a little leery of exactly what may happen with derivative projects and the acceptance of them. And so, yeah, I've been quicker to remove them from my profile and portfolio than perhaps others. But this is an interesting one. And you know what, man? I know you like Gary Vee. I hate to keep ramming on you about that because I like Gary Vee too, but you're just closer to him than I am. He did that little video clip about Danny effing Cole, right? And have you seen this video clip?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh my gosh, it's like classic Gary Vee. I think somebody should find that, please, and send that. I'll find it if not, and send it to you. But Gary Vee is talking to, I believe,
He compared him to Mark Zuckerberg. I know.
Yeah, maybe in that exact clip, but essentially, I think it was on the Props and Drops podcast, which is Gary Vee and Matt Kalish from DraftKings, and they were chatting about stuff, and Gary Vee just like got really in the zone and did his I can effing see it in their eyes thing, right? Like, and he started naming these people that he could just like tell they had it, and it is this intangible, it's like it's work ethic and it's like feel and like grit and like all these things, right? Like, I'm sure Gary Vee would say the same thing about you. You're gonna hustle your ass off to get the thing. And like that's kind of what he was saying about Danny Cole. And since that time, and I had owned creatures before that, but like since that time, I've started to like, I don't know, let that sort of permeate my brain. And now I'm like terrified that I just like do not have enough creature exposure. They're just doing unique things, also creatures. I wrote about this a while ago when we were talking about gas wars, right? Which keeps a lot of people out of projects, right? It's prohibitive in terms of cost. It's prohibitive in terms of experience because like people don't know how to edit gas. Side note, luckytrader.com, beginner's guide to MetaMask, or Lucky Trader YouTube. There are videos and tutorials. Unfortunately, you'll need to listen to my voice to undertake them, but we show you exactly how to do it. However, like prohibitive, right? In one way or another, gas wars. Creature World did a really unique drop that I don't think I've seen really topped since, though there have been other iterations of it, actually even in recent days, where you were dropped into like a little metaverse, which I believe is probably like Creature Playground verse, right? And you had to do a little task before you could mint.
So smart.
It was awesome. It was really cool. Although in the moment, because I was trying to mint at the day of, right? Because I like saw the project, had seen some of the hype pre-project, and I was like, okay. And this was back in a time where NFT summer, quite literally, was like mint everything. So there were like a variety of reasons, but like I get dropped in this metaverse and I'm just like, oh shit, I have no clue what to do. And I'm like dealing with terrible internet at home in rural Pennsylvania. And I'm dealing with like barking dogs and screaming babies, probably like nephews. I don't even know what the case may be, but I got through and like missed mint. It sucked. But it was really unique. It was my fault that it was nothing to do with Creature World's drop. It was just me being a total dummy. And not being able to figure out the the little task that I had to do freeze. But that is a really cool thing that I wish more people would do. And we're starting to see it. What are your thoughts? Actually, this is a good question that came in from Dan. What's the best way to get into the drops or pre-sales? You missed out on Creature Toads, unfortunately. Yeah, Creature Toads is an interesting maybe a little unfair one to bring into this conversation, just because half of the half of the collection was sort of pre-reserved for holders of toads or creatures. So if you knew about this project, it was on the schedule at luckytrader.com. You can see kind of a list of upcoming drops. If you knew about the project, like you would have had time, I guess, to buy a creature or a toad, but that is completely out of the range for most folks, right? I think the creature floor, I'll bring it up here, but I think the creature floor is, oh boy, it's above 2 ETH, right?
2.1 last I checked.
2.1 ETH. And we also have like a toad's floor of, let me pull it up here. I'll take a look at the project rankings. And you can dive into this by project, folks, over at luckytrader.com. But Creature World 2.25, it looks like. And I have not refreshed the page, so there's a chance there's a little bit of a difference here. And then Cryptodes probably closer to 4.70. So I mean, that is going to take out a whole host of folks that would not have been able to get into this with a toad or a creature, right? You'd had to have been fortunate enough to have them and stick around. But to answer the question, Dan, what's the best way to get into drops or pre-sales? Man, this is a super great question, and is something that like I'm thinking a little bit more about as well. Is to get into a lot of drops right now, people are actively producing and building white lists most often to kind of get around like gas war type stuff. And so what happens is they will look to pull from like the community that's building around their project. And oftentimes, Dan, this is happening in Discord. So you have these projects that are building community via Discord, and they are taking some set of activity parameters, or like maybe they're asking people to do a task or whatever within that Discord, or, it could be a variety of things. And they're sort of whitelisting people, which is then giving you the opportunity. Most often, it's not an obligation, but it's creating optionality for you to mint during a pre-sale period, which is sometimes cheaper. And if not cheaper, you're at least like more likely to get whatever the thing is that's minting. And so what's the best way? I think the best way, and this is one of the best ways to learn about the communities and to learn about NFTs and to determine which projects you have conviction in and not, get your hands dirty, get in Discords. It's impossible to stay on top of them all. I know a lot of people now, like I have a lot of friends that they have the Discord Nitro, which allows them to get 200 servers. And even still, like some of the news guys at Lucky Trader, I think I've like eclipsed their 200.
It's wild. It's a crazy amount. I can hardly keep up with. I think I'm in like 25, 30, something like that. It's too much. It's too much for me to handle. So sometimes I just like put it to the side and just focus on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like how involved are you in a bunch of different Discords?
I'm not. And that
it's difficult.
Yeah, we talked about this on the pod too, but it's one of the things that, like, for better or worse, has been necessity, right? I can't keep track of it all. I can't do it all. Like, it's impossible for me. And I don't have the time, like I'm trying to build stuff for everyone to consume. That's kind of part of what this is. Hopefully it's, worth my time and you guys are enjoying this. Appreciate everybody participating and watching. But like, I'm trying to build stuff for Lucky Trader and trying to, do things that are valuable for a whole host of folks. And if you take your eye off Discord, for like 30 minutes, you miss something. And so part of my advice, and I actually got some DMs in the last week about this, but part of my advice on episode 1 of Lucky Trader podcast, of course, accessible in all the places you download podcasts or listen to podcasts, was be okay with missing. So Dan, if you're out there like trying to get more involved, get your hands dirty, but only do so up to like what you're comfortable with, and like try to keep yourself from stressing out, and like be okay with like not minting everything, especially now where it's not as easy. Like you don't just mint and print. Did somebody trademark that? Somebody had to
That's
have
such a good
trademarked
one.
mint and
That's
print,
such a
right?
good one. Did you just create that?
I just did right off the top of the head.
Wow.
You don't mint and print for NFTs right now. You know, it's like
Mhm.
we've seen the cryptocurrency as cryptocurrencies move up, people kind of reprice themselves in terms of USD. We see prices drop as it pertains to NFTs. We'll have more data and information about this at Lucky Trader, hopefully sometime soon, very soon, to allow people to better analyze the differences between, or sorry, like the consequences and the kind of causalities between what happens when this does this and this, whatever. But yeah, it just be okay with like missing. You know, that was a huge, huge thing for me. And like it stinks. And you saw like the paper. Did you see the paper hands thing that was going around earlier this week?
Mhm.
Paperhands.gg. Um,
Did you do it?
I tried to attach one of my wallets, not attach, but like just paste one of my wallet addresses in, and I was struggling to get it to load for me. And people were like, well, wait a couple minutes. And I waited a couple minutes and I still got a 0, which I know is not true because that wallet had a punk and that wallet had a ringer, right? And like, and those are things that sold. Unfortunately, the punk was like much less of a paper hands than the ringer. It's just like we've talked about this too much. We don't need to keep talking about it. But it gave me a 0. So I don't know if I just like was at a weird time in the usage or whatever. I
Noticing a
didn't do
common
it.
theme here
What's that?
with
My paper
you.
hands.
No, no, no. With the creature world and now paperhands.gg just struggles for Logie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure why that happened because I'm like in a better internet state right now since I'm able to host this stream. But at home in rural PA, man, it's tough. It's tough. I couldn't host these streams. We wouldn't be able to have this stuff. So I have to. My nomadic lifestyle affords me the opportunity to travel and use other people's internets for shows like this. So that's what I'm doing right this moment. Yeah, we got another comment from Jonathan. Tonight is a gong show. He'll still play Showdown though. Showdown slates from DFS, kind of the one game slates that it takes some discipline to be able to do that. It's just I'm so far out of the game, man. I'm basically only thinking about NFTs all day, every day. Have you bought anything recently?
Me, Creature
Yeah.
Toads was the
Oh, you did buy
last,
a Creature Toad.
and I bought Jungle Freaks as well, which are
Oh,
seeing a
George
nice run up.
Scrosley. Nice.
But I did that 4 days ago. I listed 2. I have this strategy that I saw that I was gonna list 2, and then if one sold, I was gonna delist, and they both sold. So that
Okay.
was, I don't know if that was good. I don't know if that was bad.
Well,
It was
you take a
it
look at
was
the
just,
project rankings over the course of the last day. Jungle Freak's having
they're
a nice
having a
little,
day.
yeah. Yeah, I must not. I'm gonna have to refresh the page here. Let's see what this does. We'll check on this internet speed. Yeah, Jungle Freaks just dropped like last week. Of course, that was on the. Here we go. That was on the upcoming schedule of drops right here. You can hit schedule on luckytrader.com to check those things out. And they have revealed. Have they revealed? They have, right?
Yeah, the artists. I really enjoy the art.
Yeah.
So
So we have the rarities available for you as well. These
that's
are pretty
sweet.
cool. I mean, you know me, Danny.
Does
And
this have warm enough color palettes
that's what I was
for
just gonna
good
say.
old
I'm
Luggy?
I'm not entirely sure. This has sort of like a darker undertone than perhaps. I'm such a wimp, dude.
Too much dark undertone here. I'm out.
I
Nah,
mean, I'm not necessarily out. I'm not gonna FUD Jungle Freaks. I think this is a cool project. But
I'm
yeah,
trying to flip my way to another V friend. That's my
yeah,
mission.
I know. You told me that. Trying to get his way to another V friend. Doodles, I think, is warm. I actually did not buy a doodle, and I missed the pre-sale. Like this was one of those things Jonathan was asking, or maybe it was Dan. I'm sorry. Like how do you get yourself involved in on these whitelists? Like if you're actively grinding, or like even you don't even need to be grinding that hard. It shouldn't make it seem like it's a super laborious endeavor, though in full respect to those who are doing it, like I understand the time and commitment it takes, but like if you happen to find one or two projects to sort of actively devote some time to in a Discord, you could get on these things. And you could have been on the whitelist. And Doodles, like if you're on the whitelist for Doodles and you mint for 0.123 and you mint 5 or whatever the case may be, I think you could mint 5 on the pre-sale list. I think the floor is up near 2 or
1.1,
up
right?
near 1
1?
or 0.96.
0.96?
Yeah, this could be a little lag depending on, again, the data coming in from OpenSea. We're a little reliant on them for that type of information. So, I mean, like, that's a significant gain right there. And there's been some massive sales. I love the warm color palettes, though. I'm such a sucker for warm color palettes.
Let's
I
just
need more.
rename the show
Yeah, no.
Warm Color Palettes.
You know what is funny? So the other thing about so on Lucky Trader, if you go to the overview pages, which is just a separate tab up here at the top, overview, we've got the information here, categories. This is profile picture project. Maybe I'll request that we add a new category for warm color palettes. No,
That'd be
probably
great.
not. I mean, that's of course obnoxious, but that's the type of art. We were talking about this yesterday with new people coming into the space. Are they going to care about some of the things that the crypto native people or that early NFT people have cared about? Things like on-chain, things about generative art, or are they going to care about like what looks cool and like what's good art? And I think we both sort of said, and I'd be curious to hear people's takes tonight on this as well. But I think we both sort of said that like our expectation is that people may start to gravitate towards things that sort of maybe just an edge, a slight edge, right, to things that look cooler, as opposed to if it looks less cool but is on chain. I don't know, because I don't think that I care enough yet. And there are huge benefits to on-chain, of course, because on-chain, especially if all of the project is on-chain, all that means is that the metadata and the properties, right, are stored within the Ethereum blockchain, so that that project will not, like, it's not going to be gone unless Ethereum is gone. And I think that's very, very unlikely, at least in any foreseeable future, right? I think it'd be a multi-decade thing before you saw Ethereum kind of wither. That'd be my guess, but hopefully anyway.
You talking right now makes me think of Jim O'Shaughnessy, who came on my podcast, and he was talking about, he's a legendary trader and an author.
Yep.
And he was talking about in 2001 how companies were either internet companies or not internet companies. And it's really interesting. You see the same thing happening with NFT companies. Oh, that company, Bored Ape Yacht Club, that's an NFT company. But will that, every company today in some respect is an internet company. And so will every company in 10 years just be an NFT company? It was just an interesting frame to think about.
Yeah. Right. And then you just like, you don't care about
Right.
where they are in it. They're just in
Right.
it. Right. So that adds some level of validation and legitimacy to them right on top. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't care right now too much about on-chain. Though I do understand the, like again, if it's not, it could be lost as a result of some server somewhere or somehow the file going missing if it's, whatever, right? A whole variety of reasons. And there's lots of technical nuance here that I can't answer for. It's not my forte. But I don't think I care too much. And like I said, I've still struggled to really put together the conviction or the thesis on generative art. I get it. Like I understand like the kind of the code is the art type stuff and whatever. Like I get it, but
Have you
I don't
bought
know.
any?
Well, yeah, of course, like Ringer, right?
Ringers, right,
Everything on
obviously.
Artblocks is, is generative for the most part. I think everything is, right? Yeah. And there are a whole handful of other things. So yes, I have. But like I didn't ever have, and I sold the Ringer for a variety of reasons. I didn't have any liquidity at the time. Like I started my journey with very little ETH. And that was like like gaining one ETH, one Ether was a massive win to me at the time. And so selling it was like, that's kind of why I did it. But if I would have had some level of conviction about like knowing, like I should have known that Dimitri was a great artist, because I had seen some stuff about him being a notable artist. Like I should have known some of those things and probably held or gained some conviction in that sense. But I just didn't put together that people were gonna care enough about it being generative stuff. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So my thesis was like very weakly held. It was basically, hey, I saw some notable comments about this guy on Twitter. Like that was it. That's
So
all
you,
that's all you
yeah,
needed to do at that time.
it seems to me like the profit you make is so largely based on your own conviction. I have such respect for people who held Bored Ape or people who held ringers from minting to today. Like that takes an absurd level of understanding that the rest of the world, something right now that the rest of the world will know at some point.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's man,
what do
when you
you
when you get into that, when you're talking about, I'll let you ask your question, but like when you start to think about that, it gives you some serious like, oh shit, I should not have sold some stuff vibes,
but
right?
but then but then it makes you ask like what do you know today that the rest of the world will know 1 year from now?
Yeah. I think it's as simple as like just going back, this is like a more broad or general thesis about NFTs, but like my expectation is that it's going to be more of like an aha thing for people in a year. Like I'm having this
Mhm.
conversation with a younger brother of mine who is like he's a gamer, like loves to play games. He's trying to understand and like make sense of like NFT games and like why would this be different? Why would it work? And like I'm trying to explain to the best of my ability. And again, I'm not a gamer, so I struggle a little bit in this. But I'm trying to the best of my ability show like the aligning of incentives, right? And why it's just like so inevitable. And I saw a tweet thread today, a business partner of Chris Dixon of Andreessen Horowitz, that was talking about like mobile gaming. And it's a great thread that encouraged people to seek out this information, and happy to be refuted on these points as well, because again, I'm not a gamer. And so someone with a much better background in gaming or understanding of that ecosystem could probably definitely put me to shame. But like those types of things, I'm trying to get like my little brother to understand why it's so inevitable, like aligning incentives between creators and players, right? If you're a player and you're going to potentially be um you're going to be financially incentivized to play the game, right? Like, so right now, the example I use with him is like, he plays Call of Duty, right? We all play Call of Duty in some way. I'm terrible at it. I haven't played it in a long time. Like, I get killed instantly. My KD kill to death ratio is like probably 0.3 or something, right? It's really, really bad. I'm a terrible player. But like, the thing I'm trying to explain to him is like, right now, there are no games that act like Call of Duty or look like Call of Duty or like are as smooth as Call of Duty. But when you get to like an equally serviceable game or even slightly less serviceable game that is going to incentivize you to play, either through one, your funds that you tie up in that ecosystem not being stuck there, right? Like by building an in game currency that allows you to, or sorry, building NFTs that allow you to take them to other games or allow whatever, right? Which is something NFTs could potentially do, or by incentivizing players with an in-game currency that has a trading pair, like we see with SLP and Axie Infinity, right? Smooth Love Potion. That's something that these people that play the game can now take their game earnings and turn it into dollars or yen or whatever their natural currency is. Should they wish to, right? They can swap it to Ether. They can do whatever they want with it, right? If that happens, and we have a like an example of a nearly identical Call of Duty, who's gonna play what? Come on, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Like as a player, if it's like even a just slightly worse game, are you really like gonna hold it up and like your gaming pedestal is like, oh, but the game is just this much better? No.
People go to incentives.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
Exactly. And so if the game's slightly worse, but you could make $20 while you play Call of Duty, shut up. You're going to play, you're going to play it. It's just,
Yeah.
that's like, it's human nature. So I think it's inevitable. And that is, to get back to your question, sorry, I've gone off on this, but this is the thing that gets me excited a little bit is like, I think what people will know a year from now is just like how freaking obvious it is that aligning incentives whether it be through gaming or whether it be through art or whatever, aligning the incentives of creators and collectors, adding transparency in collecting, adding verifiability, adding, like all of these things, like they're just kind of like, oh yeah, like, well, why wouldn't you have done this, right? And there are still going to be plenty of people who are like, oh, I can't hold it in my hand, or oh, I can't do this, and like that's okay. But the generation just behind us, right? We're in our mid-20s. The generation just behind us is like digitally native their entire lives. Like they don't care, right? Like they're collecting online anyway. Like they're building Fortnite skins, or I don't know what you do in Fortnite. I don't know how to play it or anything, but whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's what people are going to. We have a couple other questions. I know we're gonna end up going over here if you're okay with it, Danny.
Hell yeah. I
Yeah,
love spending
we're good.
you and
We're good.
learning.
All right, so we got a question. Where do we think people start entering into Bungie Project in mass? Oh, that's right. Bungie Project is dropping tonight. Do you know Bungie Project?
I think I saw you tweet about that, right?
Yeah, let me pull up Bungie Project. I'm gonna head to the schedule at luckytrader.com. I'm not sure. I guess it's already dropped. So let me head to the Bungie Project website and make sure I have the right website. So this is a project that was supposed to drop a few weeks ago via Dutch auction. I'm gonna pull up the screen here. I'm gonna try to. I think this is it. BungieProject.com. This is a project that was supposed to drop a couple weeks ago via Dutch auction that got pushed back because of some issues with like a DDoS attack, I believe. And it's from Brendan Murphy, who I believe is a pretty notable artist. Fully transparent, do not know a whole lot about his background, but like the project as a whole got some pretty strong hype. Like Cosimo de Medici and others had given it quite a bit of love. Here's Brendan Murphy. You can see a few of the team members. I love this as well. In a pseudonymous or an anonymous world like crypto, where like there's a lot of people hidden behind random avatar pictures. The people that are putting their face to projects is just another little like tiebreaker point for me as to what I would invest in. Right? It means people have enough conviction to like be okay with putting their name out there and failing. We talked about this with Tom Bilyeu and others. But Bungie Project, for example, is these little Bungies. I think there's 7,444. It's going through Dutch auction, starting at 3.3, dropping 0.1 every 5 minutes until 0.3. I'm not going to connect right now because I don't even know that I'm on the right site. I want to be safe here. This is just slow down, right? Like I'm not going to connect right now. So I don't know if Bob can throw in the chat what it's at right now. I could maybe better answer this, but all that's to say, Bungie Project is dropping these unique, right, pieces, a little bit different than other just standard profile picture stuff. And like select minters are going to get like a handful get prints, like the actual print, that for you to hang up. And then one person gets a 7-foot statue.
7,121 left. It's at 1 ETH currently.
Oh my gosh, that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And I'm curious if the color palettes are warm enough for you.
I think potentially. Let's head. So yeah, it looks like 300 have been minted, right? Okay, so these are all pre-reveal. Okay. So most of them pre-reveal. This is just probably a separate placeholder image that sometimes, I don't know why this is the case.
Sometimes they have two placeholders, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's interesting right now at 1, probably.
Yeah. That's an interesting.
The other thing I should say about Dutch auctions, I'll come back in here. We saw this with Mutant Apes. We've seen this with a handful of others. When the Dutch auction gets going, you have all these people that are kind of like, okay, I'm going to let this come down. I'm going to let this come down. And so everybody keeps letting it come down. And they see them sort of slowly trickle. It happened with King Frogs too. What's up, Ducks? And they see them trickle down. And then it gets to a point where like people are like, okay, I'm ready. But then everybody
says it at the same time.
At the exact same time. And then what happens? Oh, well, gas spikes because congestion on the network goes up. And then people are unprepared. Either like their wallets don't have enough Ethereum in it, or there's like they don't know how to edit gas settings, right? And like complete madness ensues. And so here's a little bit of like a Dutch auction pro tip from me would be like, think about that, factor that in, and whatever you're comfortable paying, like know that if your range is 0.75, you could get greedy and let it dip to 0.6 or whatever, right? Like create your own range. If your range is 0.75, you could get greedy and let it drop to 0.6. But if 0.6 is the range for everyone else, your cost basis is going to be 0.75 or more because of the gas you're going to have to pay to get it.
Yeah.
And so that is a huge like thing that like I didn't think about when minting mutant apes, right? Was just kind of like wait a little bit, and then oh wow, 6,000 pending transactions all at the same time. I am completely unprepared, right, at that point in time to edit gas settings and do all the stuff that I need to do, and then my transaction stalls out and I miss. That's what happened with mutant apes for me. Womp womp. But yeah, that would be like a piece of advice, so like 1 ETH right now for 7,100. That's
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah, that's a ton. That's something that's like 98% of this. I don't know, 95% of the supply. I think it's interesting now, but I would not like if I'm not looking to mint it right now. Of course, we're on this stream. I'm not going to be doing it live, although we could. I don't know. I think it's weird. The last few weeks have like sort of morphed everybody, like prices have dipped on everything. And so like I think at 1 ETH 2 weeks ago, like this would have been gone.
But it's because the market is
I think so.
Is a little more hesitant today.
I think so. Also, I'm guessing that, and whether this is fair or not to Bungie Project, the initial pushback of the drop and like the issues that happened last time, which was like basically they got, I think it was a DDoS attack, but like there was an attack on their site, and essentially some people were able to like basically get through and mint, and I think minting there at that point in time was essentially like they were sending ETH to like some random address, right? So I think some people maybe got burnt by that and like are, you know what? I don't know about Bungie Project anymore. Which whatever, like maybe that's a fair assessment, maybe it's not, and that's totally fine either way. I still am interested in the project. What would you do if you won the 7-foot statue? Where the hell would you put
Oh my God. Right behind me.
You think so? Would it fit in your apartment in New York?
Maybe not. But have you seen Jake Paul's character that goes around him? Are you familiar with that? When he boxes, he's got a little monster, like it's not a little monster, it's a huge monster that goes around and like follows him with these robot movements. It's hilarious. And so that would be
like a real life moment thing, like a real life.
Yeah,
or
you could Google it, Jake Paul monster. Not to take us too far away, but
yeah, I don't know Jake Paul. Like I know who he is. Both he and Logan fight, right?
Yes.
They're both fighters now, and YouTubers.
Yes,
and NFT collectors and like Pokemon collectors, right?
Yeah.
But
that would be my version of Jake Paul's monster. Would be that 7-foot robot.
Jeez. I think I'm not like, I don't think I'm really in on statues. Are you in on statues?
It would be pretty cool. Is that too physical for you?
No, it's not too physical. I have no issue. I own some physical, like NFT connection physical things. I have the Fiwo shoes. I have a physical Coldy. The artist Coldy? Coldy is another like OG in the space. Let me try to get to his Decentralized collection on, and then I'll pull this up on OpenSea for us. Colby is an OG artist in the space, and I bought somebody long ago when I was grinding. A little more hardcore grinding. Someone dropped some alpha that like, whoa, Colby has like a physical store and like there's still stuff left in it, and like I was like, okay, boom, buying it. You know what I mean? Like it was pretty speculatively driven by me, but I also think they're kind of cool. He has this collection called Decentralize. Right, a play on decentralized and decentralized.
Cool.
I don't know who this one is actually. Maybe I should know who this is. This is one of the variations. Okay, so there's a bunch of variants. Andreas Antonopoulos, Edward Snowden, Warren Buffett, Julian Assange, the Winklevoss twins, and Vitalik, and then John McAfee as well.
Quite the collection.
Is this who is? Whoa, I don't know. So I own the physical Vitalik one. I don't know how I'm gonna find it in here because it didn't. I don't think I'm gonna find it. But it's pretty trippy and cool. Okay, so this might not be like the real one. It's like this, but you
Very
like
cool.
hold the thing and it's like
It's like a
all
hologram.
it's like really awesome. It's insane. Like with 3D glasses and stuff, you can do it's super. It's a super cool piece of work by Colby, again, an OG in the space. I think it's really cool, and this is one of my physical manifestations of like this place and time for me. Is like I have those FUO shoes. Dude, I just called my mom before the stream. I bought I asked on Twitter and some people responded, and I bought a preservation box, like a display box for the FUO shoes, so that I'm never gonna wear them. Are you kidding me?
So cool.
The only way I would consider wearing them, FUO is going to NFT NYC, right? Maybe you've seen.
Can't wait.
And I'm, of course, we're gonna be there.
Yeah.
And like, I'm such a fangirl of Fuosha, so it's really embarrassing. The only way I would consider wearing my FUO shoes is if it like got me like a meeting with FUO. You know what I mean? But I don't think I could wear those shoes on New York City streets, right? That would
make your shoes. PSA 10 to a PSA 8.
Yeah, I know.
Real quick.
But I just bought the display for it.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I called. My mom said it was delivered. I'm eager to get back to put them in there. And then I don't know like where. So I don't have a home or office really. Like again, I kind of just bum on people's couches and stuff. People that will let me come and see their city and things like that. So I don't know where I'll put them, and I'm not going to travel around with them. But I'm excited to have them. Have you seen these shoes?
I have not.
You know what they look? Oh my gosh, Danny, come on, man. They're on StockX, actually. I'm not a sneakerhead either.
I'm not a sneakerhead.
Like listening to this, people listening to this are probably always like, does this guy like anything? Like I don't play games and I don't know. Yeah, I do like most things. But I'm not a sneakerhead. But let me bring in this. So have you seen these? Okay, so this is the legendary pair. So there were 3-tier. This is an artifact plus FUO drop earlier this year on Nifty Gateway.
Size 39.
Yeah, I mean, this is just what's available. So this is on the these are the physicals, right?
Oh, so European.
Gotcha. Yep. I don't know how that works. This is the physicals though. StockX and Artifact got together, and it's like now these can be sold here. I think the legendaries, one pair of the physical legendaries, sold for $7,500. They were 5,000. So the NFT plus physical was 5,000 earlier this year. I bought this was 10,000. There's tiers. There was 10, 5, 3. These were 5,000. This is the epics. These are the ones I like the most, so I bought these. This is what I have.
Nice.
Dude, they're so... Ferocious is the freaking best. God. And you know what else is great about this? FUO, if you listen to any of his work, like on podcasts, just the most incredible person. Super high energy. Awesome. Anyway, his dream was like to design shoes. And so now I own like his first shoe, which... How awesome is that? You know what I mean? Yeah, so like I won't ever sell. I don't think I would ever sell my physical. I'd have to be blown away. It'd have to be something that allowed me to then purchase more of the physicals.
I'm never selling, so therefore I'll take a 2,500 ETH offer.
Yeah. I mean, like I can't wear this on the New York City streets.
No, you can't. Especially with the potential value.
Yeah.
If they're in mint condition.
And so do you understand? Like, I think if you looked at these shoes side by side, you'd understand why I bought the one I did. Right. Cause like, again, this is another one.
That's a darker color palette. That's
darker color palette, man. And so I saw this one and you're like, and at the time, this was a huge pill for me to swallow. It was like, this was 3,000, which was still a ton to me. And still is a lot of money. Definitely no two ways about that. This was 3,000 and I was like, I like it, but and this was 5,000. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to pay up for it, baby. And I made a massive mistake and sold the NFT a little early. It's, I think, at like 13. Actually, maybe it's come down, but it was at like 13 ETH at one point here soon. I sold it on the way up for, I think, around 4 or 5. 14. Oh, my God. Yeah. Because it gets you access to the artifact drop. And like I was trying to play that, knowing that it would go up. But I didn't think that getting access to the artifact drop would be this much.
Wow.
Yeah, another. This would show up on Paper Hands GG.
But I mean, what?
Why
4
sell
5?
anything ferocious?
Why
What an
sell anything
idiot.
NFTs, right? It's
I
like,
know. I'm such an idiot. They're so great. I have the little infinite objects as well. I got of this. It like spin, like the shoe. This NFT is displayed on the infinite objects, which is the display. It's super great. Look at that shoe. I mean, you know why I bought that now, right? Look at that
looks
thing.
beautiful.
Yeah, I wish I still had it. I'm a dummy. Please forgive me, Ferocious. Please forgive me. Anyway, we're gonna be in NFT NYC. The only way that I would wear those is if it, got us a meeting with FIWO, or like one of the things I wanted to ask you tonight, Grail piece. I saw some talk about this on Twitter earlier today. Some notable collectors talking about Grail pieces, meaning like, the Holy Grail. Like, what's something that like you would do whatever it took to acquire, and then it would take the 2,500 ETH or whatever for you to get to sell it. I'm not going to put you in a box about VFriends because I wanted you to talk about something else. Like, is there another collection or piece of art that you would put in that category? Like, what is it? I want to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, I got Hunter Weiss's pieces, and one of the monkeys I have listed as the same amount I have for my VFriend. And so for me, 2,500 ETH is crazy, but I've said, 99 ETH. I have one of Hunter's pieces listed because I have such fondness towards Hunter as an artist, and I think he's going to be a huge, huge deal in the next 30 years in culture. I don't have one of those, but
Oh, you have
do
you have the lemur one?
I have the lemur. Exactly.
These are great, by the way.
Those are
These
amazing.
fantastic. Yeah. I have a couple of Hunter's pieces as well. Full disclaimer, from his 25 laps around the sun. Kind of more of the Sino. I don't know what you call it, landscape photography. I'm not exactly sure what you would call it, but yeah. These are really, really cool. I remember the night these dropped. I was late to them. Those are sweet. Okay. I mean, I think FIWO is my grail. Moving on.
Any FIWO posts?
Yeah, I mean, a one of one, like,
One of one
would be insane. But like, moving on, that piece we showed last night, this is a dedicated FIWO shill. It should be the Lucky Trader Lounge featuring, like, I don't know, not featuring, right? But this piece, moving on, is just
that's the piece you want.
It's so good. I don't know that like that's the one.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'm curious what the one is for you. Maybe we'll find
it is a FIWO. It's for sure a FIWO. For sure. That's the grail. I have two now. I own two Ferocious pieces. At one point in time, I had four. And it's just one of those things like tugging at my heartstrings to get me to sell them. But early in the year, I needed liquidity. Like when Victor and Victoria, which is the one I shared last night, which is a take on another. I don't know the famous piece. Maybe you'll know it, Danny, or somebody watching will know it. The farmer and they called the farmer or something like that. What is this? Oh geez, I'm botching the broadcast now. Here we go. What is this piece modeled after? There's like a famous painting, right? Maybe it's not actually modeled after that, and I'm making this up. But like the one with the
reminds me of Picasso.
Okay, I don't know about that. Did Picasso do the one with the guy with the pitchfork and like his wife, like the farmer thing? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm not a big art collector.
Farmer pitchfork painting. Can we do a Google search quick? This one, American Gothic. You know what I'm talking about? Does it kind of remind you of that?
No. But wait, do it side by side?
I can't do a side by side, man. I'm not that good at doing these yet.
Okay. Wait, just go back and forth.
Sort of,
I see it. Yeah.
Sort of right. Like that's what I got from it. I have no clue. We should ask Ferocious when we get him on the show because we will. Damn it.
That's the mindset, baby.
I know, right? But anyway, like this piece, I just freaking love this piece. But in the beginning of the year, like I bought this drop on Nifty, and it 6x'd in like a week, and like it was just too much for me at that point in time. And like now, I should fully transparent. Like if you get a 6x now, like that is no small, like I know that's absurd gains when you compare that to any other market anywhere else in the entire world, right? But in NFTs for a while, like 6x was like 6x loser. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I actually just bought back into this piece though recently because I had sold it and I needed after the Sotheby's. You just saw Fuo sold a sculpture for 2.8 million. That's a sculpture. I'm not a sculpture guy, but that is a sculpture I would take. After the Sotheby's, I was like, okay, I got to get another Fuo. Like I cannot sit here with one. Like my hands are itchy. Like I've only got one. But now I'm back in with two. I feel much better with two. I wish I had 4 or 5 or 6. If you're out there listening, Ferocious, please come chat with us. Tell us whether or not that is featured. If that is based on American Gothic, that painting, I've got a serious art eye. And Jerry Saltz better look out. Because we talked about Jerry Saltz, and I actually got his name right. We did double check it the next day. He's the American art critic. Does he write for the Washington Post, I think? Well, I want to bring on like a real art critic. So if anybody has a connection to an art critic, do you have a connection? I think I have a connection to an art critic.
Amazing.
I think I do.
Bring him on.
We should get somebody. I want to know. What about is somebody going to take a look at this and tell me that it's not as good artistically as like stuff you see in real life? No, how? Tell me it's better or worse. You can't. It's just as
art
good,
is
right?
so subjective, though. That's the thing, right?
I know, but I mean, just like quality-wise, like I don't know. I guess I don't understand. I don't know enough about like art history or art criticisms to know what they're looking for. That's why I want Jerry Saltz to come on here. Is Jerry, tell me what you look at when you look at this piece. Like, is there something about the brush strokes or whatever? Like I don't know. I don't know what it is. Do you have a guess?
But the thing is, people, I wonder if it's actually going to matter. Like, if it's actually going to matter. Like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's cool. Okay, I'll buy it. I'm not looking at like, okay, the brush strokes here and the third quadrant are looking quite pristine. And so,
yeah,
for me, it's more about feel, Right. For me, it's like, does that look good? But
right.
I'm just a novice baboon,
we just talked about this last night, though, which is the ability now for like more people to gain access to art collecting through NFTs, right? Like before, art collecting traditionally has been 100% high net worth individuals that just buy probably whatever either they like, A, because they can afford it, or 2, whatever a critic like Jerry Saltz or others, not to keep picking on Jerry, he's the only art critic I know. But they would just buy whatever they said was great, right?
Right.
Now we have access to collecting art. So I'm freaking Jerry Saltz, and I'm saying Fuo is the best,
So he is.
Yeah, he is the best, though, for real. Like, objectively speaking, Ferocious is the best artist of all time. We're going to have to clip that.
Wow.
Send it to
We're
Fuo.
thinking in the same mind.
We're trying, man. We're trying really hard. We will get Ferocious on. I know it, we will. That might be the day that I have to politely step down from Lucky Trader as a result of, just too much will happen at that point.
Are you gonna wear a suit the day we get him on, or like how are you gonna prepare for it? And
no,
what are you gonna wear?
No, you know what's interesting about this as well? Actually, we were talking about Colby having a physical store. I think some other artists had physical stores get raided because before NFTs, people sold prints, right? Like notable artists were selling $20 prints to people that would be willing to purchase their art, and like how many they sold, whatever, I don't know really. I don't know like how many realistically got sold. Well, a little bit of alpha, and I'm going to see if I can still try to find it. Ferocious had a physical store. Yeah, and I found it early in the year, and because Ferocious, if you don't already know, like loves to do clothing. He painted all of his own like attire for the Sotheby's stuff. Like maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't. It looks like his site has been redesigned quite heavily, which makes sense. So I don't know that I'll be able to find the hidden link to that store that I found. But the physical store like had like the shirts and the sneakers and the pants and stuff that Ferocious had done, and I was saddened to have been too late. Again, I don't think I would have worn them. I'm not that cool, but I just love all the work he does. So I think if we got Ferocious on, I would try to look cool. Maybe splash some paint on my sweatshirt or something. I don't know. I would try to look cooler than I do.
Looking forward to that day.
Yeah. Let's give it another 10 minutes or so, Danny, in case we get any other questions here. It has been great. Thank you everyone for the participation tonight. We've gone a little bit longer than anticipated. It looks like the game starts in about a minute. So we'll let people slide into football here in the next 10 minutes or so. Jonathan also mentioned that the creature drop was great. He said, having played PC games helped. A friend of mine completely lost trying to use WASD. WASD being the navigational keys, basically, right? Your forward, back, left, right. Yeah, me too. So Jonathan's friend fully get it. I'm a complete boomer as it comes to PC gaming. I don't know anything about it. I'm terrible at all of that stuff. There was one game that I was maybe mildly decent at on some game site when I was a little kid. Healy Attack 2. I don't know what game. I don't know what site that. Miniclip.com. Miniclip. You ever play Miniclip?
I did. Back in the day.
Yeah, I played Healy Attack 2, and I was maybe decent, but I don't know. I don't know how to do anything with WASD. I'm pretty bad at that. Any last questions, though, folks, as we look to wrap up here in the next 10 minutes? Please feel free to pass them through. It has been a great time chatting with everybody. I'm thankful for the participation. It's always fun to do this, Danny. We'll hopefully be bringing on some guests soon. Yes, Miniclip. I love that Healy game. Thank you, Lou. It was such a great game. It really was.
You know, my favorite Miniclip game, I got to give a shout out to Double Trouble, I think it was called, or Bubble Trouble. Did you ever play that one?
No.
Oh man, you're gonna have to play that after you're done. I love that game when I was a kid.
Is Miniclip still live?
It is. It is still live. I just Googled it real quick.
Miniclip. I bet I might play some Healy Attack 2 after this. I'm not gonna play any Healy Attack 2. You know what I've been doing as we get into the, we're shrinking listeners as we chat about Ferocious endlessly. This is my fault.
Miniclip.
But you follow you talk to you talk to Andy from Fractional today? Can we leak that?
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Alpha leak.
Yeah, Andy 8052. Andy 8052, super notable NFT collector, participant, innovator, building fractional.art. We'll have him on the Lucky Trader podcast sometime soon. I mean, the conversation was today. Next Thursday, we'll have the released episode. Please do listen in. You can download that again in all the places that you listen to the Lucky Trader podcast or any of your podcasts. But anyway, I was going to say he posts I think you should leave memes and GIFs all day, every day. And they're just the freaking best. So in my downtime right now, which is not too much of it, but when I leave this and I prepare for bed and do all the things that I'm going to do to kind of decompress tonight, I'm going to watch I Think You Should Leave. Not play Miniclip. I Think You Should Leave.
I Think You Should Leave. What is that?
It's like a sketch comedy show on Netflix. Gotcha. It is not for everyone. Full disclaimer. Okay. But it is very much for me. I love it. It's freaking
Why do you like it?
It's just so great, dude. The humor, I don't even know how to describe it. The humor is just so fantastic. It's absurdity, and I think it's super sharply written. I don't know. It's fantastic. But Andy, all those memes that he posts, listen to the podcast next Thursday. All those memes he posts are I think you should leave memes. You've seen these, right, on Twitter. This absurd hot dog suit meme, or you've definitely seen these. They're so freaking fantastic. They're the best. They're the absolute best. And the show is fantastic. My girlfriend does not like it. She doesn't like to watch it with me, but I'll just watch it on my own. I don't care because it's so good. And every single one is so freaking good. Okay, we got about 7 minutes here. So questions. Yes. Thanks, Bob. You got to give. This is
I'm sure that's a reference.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. It's so freaking good. And the great part about it, Danny, they're 16-minute episodes. It's 16 minutes, 20 minutes made up of a handful of skits. So even if you have 5 minutes, right, which you do, everybody has 5 minutes, you could watch one skit and then it's like you're either gonna love it or hate it, and that's totally fine. But you just turn it off. 5 minutes, that's it, and it's mindless and like it's refreshing and good, and it's good. But we have about 5 minutes as well. So any last questions, please do pull them out now. Mention the podcast here a couple times. Please do listen to that. Download that, subscribe, leave a rating, review. Please reach out to Danny if there are people you would like for us to have on. If you have feedback about what you would like to listen to, about topics, themes, whatever the case may be, we'll get Danny on trying to get on whoever that person may be or whatever theme that might be. LuckyTrader.com, of course, now in beta. Access all the tools and resources. We've shown a handful of those on the stream tonight at luckytrader.com. And then last but not least, we also showcased a little bit of the most recent announcement and the reason that we had the show last night as well, which is the Lucky Trader OpenSea Power Tool extension, which is going to allow you to see things like rarities directly on the page, right? As I scroll through here, you see the rarities and the cool cats. So any supported collections, rarities embedded directly on page. You can access that, download it for free. Google Chrome Web Store, search Lucky Trader. Get it's appended to your browser, right alongside like your MetaMask, for example, in the Lucky Trader logo. Definitely something to take advantage of, add to your browser. It's going to give you a lot of additional flexibility and power. Any parting thoughts, Danny, as we prepare to wrap up here in the next couple minutes?
Parting thoughts are, this has been a pleasure to do. I love hanging out with you. I love this stream. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to keep doing it. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got tonight. What about you?
Awesome. Yeah, I don't have too much else to add. It was a good time. It always is. It goes by really fast.
It does.
I got the little like blinking light in the top left corner. It's like, you've been live for an hour and 25 minutes. It's pretty crazy, but I could talk about it all night. So, and even if you guys don't have questions now, or you don't have the courage to potentially have your comment posted on the live stream, totally fine. Paste your questions offline, and we'll be sure to try to get to them in the near future, the very near future. These first few have just been Danny and I bantering and spending too much time talking about Ferocious and things like that. But in the near future, though, we will have actual guests on. We'll be doing actual education. We might start to do some more like thematic segments, right? Like we were talking about Danny building like a portfolio for this lounge show, so like using sort of some community input from those who are active in the chat, starting with whatever 0.25 ETH and kind of doing weekly, maybe making some purchases or bidding on stuff. That would be a fun engagement with the Lucky Trader Power Tool extension. We could bid on stuff and see what happens. Of course, my bids for like cool cats with 0.1 ETH are useless, but if we found something with like reasonable to bid on, right, that would be interesting. So any of those ideas are welcome as well. Whatever you guys want to see, whatever you'd like to see, please let us know. We are happy to accommodate so long as it is appropriate and professional. Would love to be able to do so. The show will be coming back to you next Thursday at least. We may be doing some impromptus as well when the moment strikes, like we did yesterday. But yeah, greatly appreciate it. I guess we'll wrap it up. I haven't seen any other questions come through. So greatly appreciate everybody hopping on here. Please do check out luckytrader.com, the Chrome extension. You can follow Danny on Twitter at Hey Danny Miranda, HEY, Hey Danny Miranda. Myself at LH09, and of course Lucky Trader at Lucky Trader HQ and Lucky NFT News. Thanks so much, everyone, for participating. Greatly appreciated. We will catch you next Thursday at least, but stay tuned to the Twitter feed just in case something else pops up. Happy to chat NFTs. Best of luck in your collecting over the course of the next week, and we'll catch you then.
Peace.